Welcome to the wonderful world of dance, bringing you exclusive interviews with top dancers and choreographers and reviews of the world's best companies across the globe. You can find lots more on our website at thewonderfulworldofdance.com.
Hi, this is Savannah Saunders from The Wonderful World of Dance. Today we have with us the astounding Liv Lorent, who joins us from balletLORENT, who's bringing a new reimagined Snow White to Sadler's Wells in London. Thank you so much for joining us today, Liv.
Oh, hello, Savannah. Thank you so much for interviewing me.
So I'm really interested in learning a lot more about your company and about your new production of Snow White. So for those people and our audience around the world, can you tell us firstly a little bit about your company, balletLORENT?
Well, it's nearly 25 years old now, which is... So that's taken really all my adult life, and it's been quite a very steady and slow progress, I think, from being a very small company into now touring much larger venues, which has been great, actually. And we're in a brilliant position now where we go to venues and do more than one-nighters. So that's fantastic. So at Sadler's Wells next week we're doing 3 shows, and then Northern Stage, main stage the following week, we do 5 shows. And as we know in dance, that's really hard to get. Yeah. But for the dancers and for the whole company, it's really satisfying to do. Of course, to not just feel like you're just started to get somewhere and then pack up and go. So I think that's been very, very enriching for all of us, and we understand what a privileged position it is to be in, because we've had literally decades of doing one-nighters as well, you know. Yeah. So, it's been, of course, wonderful doing family work, so that I think that there's a confidence that many more people can come and see the work and feel that they can bring their children or grandparents. I think that's been brilliant for us, and we really like having audiences, I think, beyond maybe the elite niche audience who loves and understands dance. This is we I think probably specialise and really enjoy working with a wide cross section of the auditorium. Maybe a lot of people who maybe not seen much dance or none at all.
Well, it sounds like a really great way of introducing your new audiences to dance. And so tell us about the reimagined Snow White.
I've been doing some fairy tales since, I think it was about 2006, when I started with a fairy tale that was written by Ben Crompton for the company called Angel Moth, and I asked for this fairy tale to be written around the cast of dancers that Ballet Lorent was working with at that time. And so we had a beautiful librarian called Pipanushka was a role written for Gwen Derrick, and then we had Joe, this crazy imagined boy on point who loved visiting the library and escapism in books, and it was a really fantastic 2-act dance theatre piece which toured very well nationally, and we did a lovely Christmas season at the Baylis studio at Sadler's Wells in 2008, and we had to then. We met up with Alistair, and Alistair Spalding and Emma Gladstone had a conversation about what might be next for the company, having discovered we really enjoyed doing these fairy tale ballet dance theatre works. And that was when the suggestion came out, what about doing a reinterpretation or a retelling of something already in existence, something already in the kind of consciousness. And I thought long and hard about it and did a lot of research, and hadn't read any of the fairy tales that I'd enjoyed as a child. I haven't really ever picked that book up again, but yeah, I found that I fell in love with the story Rapunzel and read it in a very different way and reimagined it in a very different way as an adult. And with the help of the brilliant collaborators and fundamentally Carol Ann Duffy doing a retelling of Rapunzel for us, that started our journey on doing these fairy tale interpretations in our very own new and fresh way.
Wow, that sounds like the audience is going to be seeing Snow White in a different light on the stages of Sadler's Wells. Very exciting.
I hope so. I think that there's I think we think we know some of these fairy tales because we read them a long time ago or saw the Disney film or something else. But when you have the chance to go deeper into the story and see a few different versions that have been written, and for me, I'd always believed that it was Snow White's stepmother that wanted to destroy her and poison her with an apple. But when I found out the very first version I think it was 1812, was written by the Grimm brothers, and it was Snow White's real mother, I thought that was truly, truly terrifying.
Fascinating.
and that really started just going, wow, what is this story? And I talked to women, and I've not had any problems in relationship with my own mother. She's certainly never been jealous of me, or never had any cause to be. But there are definitely, I think, some women who have found themselves being overtaken by their daughter's beauty, and they struggle with that. And there's something fantastic about this story. So the queen dreams of having a child, like many women at some point think, I would love a child, but she's doing it while looking at her reflection in the glass and thinking how beautiful this child would be, with skin as white as snow and lips as red as blood and hair as black as the ebony frame. And I think that the whole story really warns against wishing a child for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, my goodness. It sounds like not your typical Snow White.
It's funny because it's not a typical one, and yet it absolutely harks back to the very original in many ways. And I think it's been brilliant. One of the things that I struggled with at the beginning was thinking, how on earth am I going to do those Seven Dwarfs?
Yes.
As I imagined I knew them from Disney. But then researching further and realizing that these forest dwellers, these people that are living there, that Snow White in the end is sort of rescued by, their bodies are short because they are in the mines, so they're in tunnels. And I was fascinated just suddenly by seeing how not just dancers' bodies, but people who work in real kind of hard labour, how your body becomes crafted and shifted and changed. Wow. And deformed almost by what you're doing, whether it's your hands, your back, your feet, and I thought that's where I was going to take choreographically the journey with that. So we have our 7 miners who all move in this very eloquent way, but ultimately in a way that's being crafted by a distortion of hard labour underground.
And that's really interesting because it has so many parallels with dancers' bodies being crafted by their daily work.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I always love that. And I've always loved things like, gardener's hands. Or, I've always loved my dancers' bunions or calluses. And I personally love what effort and struggle does to the body and the face, actually, and the eyes and the heart. There's something very noble and beautiful about it, as well as obviously evident of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And dancers' feet they're so telling, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it sounds like the audiences, the families that are going to come along, and the people who are going to come along and see Snow White are going to be drawn into quite a magical world, but one that harps back to the original interpretation. And you're talking about your choreographic interpretation there. How would you describe your sort of approach to choreography, your choreographic language?
I think it's getting the older I get, the purer and the simpler I want things to look, and the more that's what dancers are doing carries forward the story, the better for me. I am less and less interested in a movement that's purely decorative or is something that's a movement that becomes self-conscious display of their or my virtuosity is something that I find difficult to deal with, because it somehow seems pretty gratuitous when you're in the middle of doing something that is carrying a lot of emotion or story. The physicality is so pure that suddenly if you stick in a gratuitous pirouette or something which doesn't feel earned, that does my head in. So I feel I want to streamline an awful lot. Now, having said that, it is sweaty work what we do, and not at all an easy ride. I like it to look very, very simple and have a lot of flow, a lot of gravity, but actually it's the suspension and the defying gravity. It's the lightness. It's Snow White who maybe does a simple turn, holding this mirror in the forest that she finds in the mines, and yet it is 20 kilos. This mirror,
wow.
And she holds it like it's nothing, and so the skill of the dancers is embedded very strongly into everything that we do. But the aim is not for us to be ever going, look how pretty we are, look how clever, how trained, how impressive. I love, big jetés like the next person, but I'll want them in there because we're running away from the forest animals, or we are the forest animals, and so we leap like animals. I think that's kind of how it's becoming for me more and more. I want the physicality, I want the choreography to come out of the emotion and the story and not just be display.
Well, again, I'm spellbound to see the dancers being on stage and performing Snow White, and particularly with your descriptions of the forest and the movement and the mirrors. I feel like I'm already there, Liv. I'm spellbound already. So you're, as the artistic director and the founder of balletLORENT, what is your vision? What's next for the company after Snow White?
Well, excuse me. I think we're going to go for our third fairy tale. We're planning to do a trilogy, and I'm hoping that that's going to be Rumpelstiltskin, but Carol Ann and I are meeting next week to talk about that. And I hope we do a lot of adult work as well, often in site-specific locations, and that would be, there's a few things coming up which I'm looking forward to doing as well. And one thing that's been long part of balletLORENT's history is having a very eclectic cast of dancers from different ages, different backgrounds, different training, and some guest artists who have no training at all. Is a frequent hallmark of what we do. And I think that I really like that. I really like seeing an enormous diversity on stage in the company, and I am really privileged that I've been working for such a long time with some dancers they've got a few people in Snow White, for example, who've been working with me 15 years or more. And the age range in the company, dancers in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I think that's pretty unusual too. But I love it. I love the gravitas. I love the finesse and the clarity of an older dancer's movement, and I love that. Next to literally, a dancer that's not long graduated, and their vivacity and their youth and their bounce. I love the contrast, and also, of course, we work with children local to each venue that we tour to, and so we have 6, 7, and 8-year-olds who are the palace children and the animals in the forest, and that's amazing. Their way of moving, their physicality, again lends something so fresh, I think, and so powerful to the work that we all really love sharing the stage with them too.
Sounds really inclusive. It sounds very accessible, and it sounds like a company with a cast that continues to grow and to evolve along with the company. It's very exciting.
It means a lot to me, and they are, the company has always been very important, like another family. But it's not to say that in a kind of we're all kind of happy clappy or anything. It's all about the work. It's all about pushing the art form more, pushing each other more, but trying to refresh by having, not getting complacent with just long-term relationships. It's about refreshing always with new dancers in the company every year or two, and trying to really always exceed our challenges, exceed what we have achieved so far, to keep finding out what we can do in this wonderful world of dance.
Yeah, that's well. All I can say is I can't wait to see Snow White myself, and I wish I could see it. I can't. Personally, I happened to be away in Iceland at the time, which is such a shame. But you've got Snow White at Sadler's Wells next week on the 25th and 26th of March. So I wish you all the best with the performance there. No doubt it's going to be a roaring success, and I hope to be able to catch your next fairy tale within your trilogy when you come back down to London next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Liv. See you later.
Okay,
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some incredible interviews coming up with principal ballerinas and renowned choreographers. We love dance and ballet, and we hope you'll love us. Join us on Facebook and Twitter.